Okay, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to say something what I am doing with the help and support and blessings of Mother Earth, Mother Nature. Two things are very important to understand this. This is nothing like in a formal term, you can say this is a research and publication and whatsoever may be. This is in a way, I think that this is a call of the nature or blessing of the nature, Mother Nature. Whatever I have perceived, received, explained, understand, this is nothing like mine. It is a my voice is there, but all the contents based on several hundreds of scholars from different parts of the world. So I remember two great personalities. I will refer that. One is NASA scientist under whom I have worked for 6 years, John Kim Malville, one of the 2, 3 legendary figures in the whole world for sacred geometry and cosmic geometry. Okay, he was interested in India to understand how the sun worship is going on. And just by chance, no correspondence, no relation, suddenly in 93, and that was 13th of January 1993, we met in Varanasi. He was a very tall man, about 7 feet tall, big nose, so attractive. I met and then correspondence started, discussion started. Then later on, after 1-2 years gap, then he came with a NASA is a sponsored project for about 6 years to understand the sacred geometry and cosmic geometry. So we have studied 7 cities together. And there was one condition he said. So let me say, those who are young researchers, when you correspond and interact with foreign scholars, how the perception going on. What he said, my master John Kim Malville said, Rana, no Indian believe Westerners, especially Americans, because Americans cheat Indians. And Indians also cheat Americans. But let me say frankly, I am the person, I will never do it. Because 20 years past, a scientist searching something based on the culture. And now through you, I came to know, oh my goodness, this is a part of the life. Chat Puja Bihar, that was the thing. And then the story started. So this way the story started in 1993. And 14th of January, he was using very high sophisticated instrument to measure the sun rays and what is cultural going on. And he find 100% correspondence. So that is the story to understand sacred geometry, the location of particular site, orientation of that site or image to the particular way of the astronomical phenomena, especially sunrise, and then link of that site to other site, what we call correspondence. So this is orientation to the sun, correspondence with the other, all together that makes sacred geography. Okay, so this is the way I am giving you few examples, and I will complete within 45 minutes, already 15 minutes past. The rest, based on the discussion or whatever you want, I will try my best to clarify. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to share with. At the end, I have written this, envisioning Indian knowledge system. Because what happened earlier, whenever you talk anything, people say this is coming from the West. It is not like this. This is other way. And already several such scholars from the West, they have established their theory. So that will be one very humble approach to say something. Okay, now it starts like this. I am citing a man who has never visited Asia, Leonardo da Vinci. He is considered to be a unique personality in Western world. He is called as the great sage, unparalleled. There is nothing like two persons to be compared. Nothing like that. Leonardo. I have studied. I got a chance to study several years, every year going about 2 to 3 weeks to Milano and understand underground, going all his collection and all that. And then I got this whole insight to understand this. What is that? The most common number, symbolic number in Indian metaphysics, rituals, travels, pilgrimages, not only in Indian culture, in Japan, Korea, China, at least 3 countries I have studied, where you find number 108 is the base. This person in 15th century who has never visited Asia at all, in a very similar way, he has talked about this interaction of the 3 phenomena, which I am going to show you through the several examples. How this 108, we all have the rosary, the mala, having 108 beads, and we count like this. So that is multiplication of the 3 phenomena, and that's why you can see in this figure, triangle, square, and the circle. These are the 3 basic designs. What is in algebra we call tessellations. They can go infinite times equal. You can set. There may not be any way superimposition at all. No gap at all. So when you talk about the space geometry, you find these 3 are the basic. How they are represented, that one. So 9 is directionality. Now Deviya, now Graha. How this 4, east, west, north, south, and cardinal 4, and plus 1, 4 plus 4 plus 1, and that's why that denotes directionality. That is the space phenomenon. And temporality, day and night too. Always day go up, then down, then night goes down, then up. Charana. And that's why we call it Charana, Ashtapada, etc., letter and division. So that is a temporality. And 3 layers, the infinity up, then down infinity, in between, what we call like a loka. So you multiply it, 9 into 4 into 3 is 108. Another description about different ways in our terminology, and which already Leonardo has mentioned. He has never mentioned anything Indian, but I can say that that is the parallel phenomena. He was also like a sage, it's a rishi. You can multiply the time phenomena as a 12 division territory according to Atharva Veda, and every ritu having the 2 phases, 6 into 2 is equal to 12. 12 is a number of Rashi, 12 is a number of months, so that is the time. And his space, just now I have discussed 9. So 12 into 9 is equal to 108. This way, when you use the rosary, and practically I will show you how it is going on, this theoretical construction, 108 means 1 year, your soul, your mind, your consciousness, whatever you can feel like this, your conscience, all move together for 1 year. And this way you can feel something different, what we call in our terminology, ananda, sublime bliss. This is like this. So you can see the same phenomena. The most famous picture is still considered to be the only picture, the most scientific and most aesthetic, and that is Vartuvian man. Right hand side, both side you can see a naked woman looking like that, but outside is pale. I'm not going to discuss all that. A very famous living lizard in theoretical physics, Fritjof Capra has written full book on this image. That was another inspiration that long back, it is 15 years back story, that Fritjof Capra sent me a copy of this book, and they said, Rana, we never met, but we have close relation. You can go to Italy and search this thing, and that's how the story started. And then we are coming to the Indian context. So this was the whole background. So here I am giving you a background. Already I have given this reference that when we talk about the 9 and the center point in architectural symbolism, we call it axis mundi. That is the French word used in English. In our terminology, that is the navi. In body phenomena, without navi, nothing. From the navi, we are born, we are taken energy from the mother, now coming out. That is the idea. Okay? So this is simply to say that our body itself is Brahma. Okay? Our Sarir hi Brahma hai. Sankaracharya philosophy, whole metaphysical idea. And that has been imposed in the landscape. And that's how our whole system of pilgrimage sites developed in the ancient past, at least up to 13th century. Majority of our sites linked to that whole system of body symbolism. So this is the example how the triangle is square, and then it is coming to circularity. A man, you can see the picture, that is the picture by Leonardo, that the man is trying to link the limit of the cosmos. That is the philosophic idea behind this. Okay? Now, 2 things that give you background. The term Cosmo-gram that was used by James Prinsep in 1830. Of course, in 21, he wrote one article, simple magazine article, but in this 32, he has explained that. And he has given a term that is cosmogram. It has the sense of cosmology, that how the cosmic numbers relate to the landscape. And that he has tested in case of Vishwanath temple, old Vishwanath temple in Varanasi, which later on I will show you. What he tried to explain, the light phenomena, water phenomena, and wind phenomena, these three that combines in Chinese literature, Korean literature, in other nearby that ancient site, you find the description. And then he narrated that, look, it is nothing like you can say this is modern analysis, which is already going at least to 9th century in different parts of the world. There are already linkages in the past by the Indian sages. That's how the whole thing developed. This again had been the second. So this was the first. The second perspective to understand this theoretical perspective is the three levels, what we call triloka, tina loka, okay, tina guna. If you can read Srimad Bhagavad Gita, the whole chapter is describing three types of one is three types of food, three types of karma, and all that three levels. Here is also in landscape phenomena, what the terminology given by John K. Malville, that is macrocosm, terrestrial. Then comes like star, planets, moon, sun. Then comes meso, that is atmosphere, mountain, lakes, ocean, river, earth phenomena. And then comes microcosmos, that is city, temple, home, or your own body like that. I am giving you this theoretical perspective, and practically I will show you all these examples. So you have to keep in mind this is the way, the whole framework to understand sacred geography or cosmic geometry has been. Whatever just now I mentioned, put in a theoretical diagram. The symbolic coupling of mesocosm, that is earthly, with the macrocosmos upper portion, you see the circle and upper portion, macrocosmos terrestrial, mesocosmos earthly, one example is Kashi, then microcosmos, here is a temple. How they are linked and structured. This is based on that big project that was sponsored by NASA. So here is simplified, and credit goes to John K. Malville, my Guruji, for all this astronomical phenomena. Then he tried to link this whole theoretical construction with the Vastu Purusha Mandala. How the cosmic man just linked with the evolution of the whole cosmos. That was the idea. In practical form, this is transfer what we term pilgrimage mandala. We start from the home, do the journey, reach to some property, follow, and then return back again to that. So you start from one and then return to there, and this way, geometrical, the whole formation, what we call the pilgrimage mandala. Okay, some more conceptual framework. What is in between? The thing is the sacrality. In English, we call it sacrality. In Sanskrit, we call it devatva. The most famous essay written by a great master of mystical tradition of Sanskrit literature, Vasudev Sharan Agarwal. I don't know how many of you know Guruji of Kapila Vatsaya. Kapila Vatsaya had studied under Vasudev Sharan Agarwal ji, who died around 60s, and he was in Banaras Hindu University. He wrote an article, Bhumiko Devatva Pradhan. Here we are not going, but in West people know, oh, that great article. That was parallel to that, Matsya Iliada in the West and Vasudev Agarwal in India said that how the spirit of the place linked to the divine power, and then that part of the earth became divine. Devatva Pradhan. It is given by some terrestrial force like this. And now what we do to cross it, and that's why the word is Tirtha Yatra. Tirtha means to cross from worldly going to divine, from this side to other side. Yatra, we are moving. Whole life is moving like that. So that is the Tirtha Yatra. It is from one state to another state, great transformation. Two more conceptual framework. Asthamaya. When we generally talk about the word Astha, we are confused. Many times we think this is close to superstition. My dear, not at all. If you go to deep psychology then you can find that the whole series you can find. Gustav and all that, Gilbert and whole theories like this, and they are done practically. That's why the whole field came psychiatry. Okay, so that is rooted to the two emotionality and the spiritual connection to place, what in our terminology it is called a Tirtha Bhuta. Why you go to a particular place and you get it connected. So that is a serious thing. Pavitraka. So that particular bhu, that is motherly form of the earth, not planet. Okay, that is the big confusion. There are few people always define directly things written like this. Always wrong. E was capital and there was the. You read the original German, then you can find. Just for information. So that is called at the point of geographical sanctity, meeting with the spiritual connection of the place, and this way from human being to the divine being, interfacing going on. And then ultimately we receive what I have referred to, Ananda. Okay, two more terminology, then I will practically start. Tirtha Chetra. This is wonderfully explained in Valmiki Ramana and also Tulsidas Ramana in Uttarakhand, and that is called Yagavallaki Ashram. Constantly some bad going on, and that refers the moment you can enter in that territory, your mind will be different. You will just finish all the worldly things. You can link to the different realm of the world, and that is the Tirtha. In Western terminology, this was not properly used. Thanks 2015 UNESCO meeting, I represented Hinduism and Islam. My name was there. So I introduced and they have accepted. Anyway, in Indian context, not very popular. In English, we have find the word sacred scape just to replace Tirtha Chetra. Then comes Astha Chetra, faith scape. If you have nothing like that, you are not trying to encourage, recapitulate this, then you can't understand. These two are the basic frame. One in the landscape, other in the mind. They meet together, and that's why the whole sacred geometry comes like this. For that, I am quoting some of the famous two quotations. The one by Leven Legend, and that is Fritjof Capra, his great book, that is Tao of Physics. If you have not read, please read. Written by a physicist, and he is explaining Lord Shiva, dance, Kali, and all that, and parallel giving scientific example. So I am citing, science does not need mysticism, and mysticism does not need science, but we humans need both, and that is our life. Another thing is by Albert Einstein, that his whole famous equation E.M.C. square. If at first the idea is not absurd, then there is no hope for it. There is nothing like research, nothing like deeper understanding. So what we have tried to use Einsteinian frame is equal to MC square, just converting in Indian terminology, S is equal to MF square. Spiritual magnetism of that energy, how it can be explained. This is just a theoretical construction to link East and West, modern science, and the ancient landscape. Okay, now I am starting it. So these are the theoretical construction to understand this whole perspective of different dimension of sacred geometry and cosmic landscape, etc. Wonderful example, first time in history, 1993, that was published in 1995 in World Congress of Archaeology and Ethnography. It was presented, and since the story started, the studies. This is based on Kashi Khanda of Skanda Purana. Okay, and that is dated about 13th, 14th century. That describes that how many numbers of Surya, sun shrines in Varanasi, how they are located. The way the scholars of Sanskrit, they have described it was more literary tradition. But that work was done under the guidance of Kim Melville, the famous astrophysicist, then the story is different. And some of the simple words that open the mystery. Example I am citing here. So in next, I will show you. Look here, the same map. You have just seen this. Concentrate. The number, all these dots you can see, the 12 main and 2 more added in history. That is altogether 40. That is 14. Here is a basic question. When you say 12 Aditya, Dvadas Aditya, according to Sanskrit tradition, he said that is under circumference. If that is making the whole cosmos like half circle to represent, then where is the center? It means there must be 13th. Then only you can measure the 12th. This is very simple geometrical question. Majority of his scholars say, oh, this is useless and oh, these are Western. Okay. One of a very simple man who was working in Sanskrit archive, my good friend, we have dedicated that article published in the Astrophysics journal that this is based on that great man who helped like this. He said, yes, that is a center must be there. So we have to search that Sanskrit and we find the word. And how this, you see this center point in the left-hand side at the center, Samba. Samba is the name of Lord Krishna from Januvanti, son. And he was having a blessing of Amadou, so he was so beautiful. He was a notorious guy. He was always involved in girls, etc. So many funny stories. But he was the man considered to who had started Sanwasi. How this story to be linked to the scientific fact? Here is the thing. And Kim Malville raised this question, there must be 13th form of sun and that must be at the center. I refuse, but we find one of the sutra in Kashi Khanda and that has clarified the whole thing. Sambaditye kendri bhute. That is the word. Sambaditye, Samba, establish Aditya, kendri bhute. Kendra, that is the Nabi. Is the axis mundi, that is the center of the cosmos, and bhute, that was always mistaken. Bhute, generally they describe, bhut means past. Okay, bhut means ghost. It's not. When we have used Ashtadhyayi and Panini system, and then we explain to Kim Malville, then he said, my goodness, it's just like Archimedes. He said, Eureka, I find, oh my goodness, this is India. I lost my 20 years, and now I found here is the answer. And that answer was very clearly, Bhut means infinity of time. Because the moment I am, anything is going to be that became past. And there is no future. Future is imagination. And whatever you say, that is going to pass. And that is called Bhut. Is from the infinity in time, past, and infinity in future. The way that has been linked, then very simple thing is just plot a center and then try to see the whole description of the 12 Aditya. What is plotted? It's not simple math. It's very high sophisticated GPS system used that was under project. And that time, this I am talking 93 to 98. That was the period. Of course, the first article already entered in World Congress and published in 1995. Later on, we have worked and elaborated that. See the result. It's only one piece in the whole world. And this is the unique thing. And that's why this whole secondary geometry of India has been highlighted in international commissions and body. Look this. The center, 14th of January, Makar Sankranti. Now remember the story of Bhishma, who was on the arrow bat going to die, but he stopped his breath. He said, look, I have Varadana, a special blessing from Mother Ganga, that is wish. Okay, so he said this time is not auspicious. So when that Makar Sankranti will come, and that day I will leave my plant. This is a story. Now decoding it scientifically. That is the day, 14th of January, when sunrise starts in case of northern India and especially Varanasi, that rages pass through Yama, Yama, the death god. So who has founded the Aditya, sun god, and that directly linked to Samadhi. This we have measured 6 years. So on 13th, all that instrument and radar system fixed at Asighat in a hotel with the permission of all defense ministry clearance. Okay, because Malville was also a space advisor to government of India and several of his friends and all that. Anyway, then the measurement is started. The result is here. I am not going to talk all this complicated thing. One result, which is only again in the whole world. That says that from Karanaditya, means Karna founded Aditya image. People say, oh, Banaras 3 times lost, so everything is lost. No. All the sites, all the original images in fragments or all that, they are at exactly in the same site. This by whole astronomical survey as we do. Okay, so from Karna, it says that it rays, the sun rays passes like this and reach to the upper portion, and that reaches to Uttar Arc, Uttar North, Arc Surya. And that says that day will be 14th of July. And 14th July is the time when maximum sunlight, the period of sunlight, maximum day duration will be recorded in whole North India at Varanasi, exactly at Uttaradi. Who has measured this? How it has been, it is described. So it is nothing like a new thing. It is the real research what ancient sages they have described in their own manner. So this has been decoded with the use of the science. This is the one contribution. The second contribution, you can say that it says that how it is linked to Karna, this is the base, and then from Uttaradirka, so that is Kakola. This Kakola means sky, infinity. You can put a triangle, and at the center you'll find that that is the Madhyameshwara. Madhyameshwara. Madhya, the center, Icharayeti Ishvara, that is regarded to us today. That is at the center, the cosmos is running. When we measure that, then you find maximum gravity lies at Madhyameshwara. And in spite of 3 times destruction of Banaras, the inner portion of that temple is as such. These are all published things. There's nothing like interpretation. This is all based on the science. I just simple way presenting before. So these are some of the historical things. This way, this whole idea developed that how do we see. And then we have later on, I will show you at the end, few other examples from others. So this is the one example. Similarly, we have already surveyed here in Farm, we have already surveyed 1,400 temples in Varanasi. Mostly 13th century and before. We have not added the new one. Always old. And that is very, always each and every site has been measured about 300 to 400 times the double receiver GPS control at Varanasi. We have a whole chart and something published in the astronomical journals. Now, practical. So this is theoretical. Now you see practical side. The southernmost is Lolar. It's a red leaf of a child, beautiful leaf. Okay. So when we do like this, touch this, you can see innocent baby, always touching this lip and tune like this. That is called Lola. So the story comes that Surya first time wanted to enter in the city in that form, and that's why the name is Lolarka. Okay. That story now linked to modern times. You see the lower side, right hand side, huge mass. This just finished only 2 weeks ago, Lalai Chat. In Bihar, that is also very common chat. And most of the people here, when we were students, people are making joko, baliya wala, chupra wala, they sab chat puja karte hain, these are all idiot chat puja karte. Okay. That always pinched to us. When I explained to John King Malville, people say like this, and he said, no, there is a big mystery behind that. And that's how this study started. And then we find it is all based on the ancient system of perceiving astronomical phenomena, what we call cultural astronomy. So this is the way, the climax day of church, how people are going and performing. And then this is the back. This is looking like simple structure, but my God, you'll be happy to know that credit goes to a great scientist of India, the rare piece of India, who equally deals with all the mathematical computer modeling, pure applied physics, thermodynamics, etc., and then pure Vedic Sanskrit research was called. 2 years ago, Prime Minister of India somehow got a link. He invited him that please come to India. We always want to honor him. He said, no, I am working for Mother India, that's all. But he came. Prime Minister directly talked to him, and then Padma Shri was given. Then he requested, please be my advisor for the scientific. So that is the story. Why I have said this? Because credit goes to Subhas Kaur, who studied this. Of course, I again assisted, and this portion of that has been already inscribed in UNESCO Cultural Astronomical Alive Site in the world. In North India, that is the only one. So generally, we say sometimes because we have different type of lens. Okay, so that is another example. Now, like here is typical example, metaphysical meeting with something deep meaning. 84 ghats. If you read the Indian literature, we say 84 lakh yoni mein प्राण मरने के बाद जाता है. Whenever we die, our soul will pass through the 84 lakhs. It means 8.4 million organic species. Thanks. Till 2015, that was correct. But after 2015, a paper has been published after 20 years of research, and about 80 great scientists altogether they have published, and that 8.4 has been changed now. It is 13.6. So this theory has been challenged that look, now this is the, but nobody knows that is not the final answer. What is the meaning like that? 12 into 7. 7 is the chakras. 12 I have already discussed, that is the Kalakhanda, time division. So each ghat, if you can go, then 84 lakh, it means at one ghat, 1 lakh, 100,000 species, you can clean yourself. So if you can perform your journey from number 1 in the site and go 84th in the north, you can clean your body, just to say that in this way, I have tried to link my soul to all the 8.4 organic ways. This was a metaphysical, wonderful explanation, and many things about now written about that how great sages have tried to link this whole thing for making our life better in understanding. This is another way. It is not easy to go to all the 84 hearts and take up. You'll be sick. This has been already realized in history. So they have explained now Panchabhuta, that you all know that air, water, fire, and earth, the ether. All that is made of Panchabhuta, Parameshwara, Chitijala, Pavaka, Gagana, Sabina, like that. They have been linked to the 5 hearts. And this way, that whole narration has been declared and linked with the human consciousness, to link with these 5 gross elements. That's how this is called Panchatirthi Yatra. So now, not going to all the 84 ghats, you can go only to 5 and you can get the same thing. It's a wonderful example how human adjustment to be made to understand the deeper messages of nature. This is another perspective to see. In the lower side, you can see overview of the ghats. It is just I am quickly giving you a sense how to understand the ghats of Banaras. This is morning, Subah Banaras. These are the perspective of the 4 ghats. Ghat, then the Sasmeli Ghat, then Manikarnika, which is famous as so-called cremation ghat. But later on, this name has been given by Westerners. It's nothing like that, Manikarnika. And then the Adhikesha Ghat. Now, another example. This is the example, which is one among the 3 such examples in the whole world for this type of particular journey based on the metaphysical number, and that existing at least since 11th century. Very similar to that, no links at all, but similar to that, in similar time, 2 great journeys evolved in the West. First is Santiago de Compostela, that is Spain and France. It is moving about 2,000 kilometers. Complete silence. About 90% same type of bass and murmuring sound. Nothing like crying, nothing like that. This is the best example in the whole world. I am so lucky, partly I have done all this. Okay. So that is the first. The second one is Shikoku Island, and that is in Japan, which is famous. All these are beautifully controlled by the government, by the local bodies, and all people do like this. In India, a typical example, in spite of all destruction, all this Muslim invasion, even then, that existed, and thanks to so many people during 18th and 19th century, including Bharatan Harishan was involved there, Raja Sipasha Sen was involved there, the king of Narasimha. This can be revived and maintained. That is called Panchkotia. It moves from the cremation ground 108 shrines. So whatever I have introduced during the early phase of this lecture, that 108, here is the macrocosm. Directly, you can walk 108 sites, and then you can realize that without having a rosary or without having your mental thought linked to the terrestrial, you can have on the earth 108. The mala खुद करके जाने. You do yourself and feel like this. And this represent the five tattva. Okay? So that is, I will show you later on. So that is the inner, then outer covering, then outer, then limit. This way, Panchkoshi is the fourth one. Fifth one is Chaurasi Koshi, exact circular. So this thing, what we have discussed, the three levels, circularity, square, and triangle, this we have tried to link with Panchkoshi. And here is the GPS measurement, how it is linked, how the energy is going to be transferred. Our result says that 80% coincidence is correct. This is something strange thing. Nobody can imagine that and this is like nothing like one day work. It was 6-7 years of project, and that was sponsored by NASA and National Science Foundation, University of Colorado and MIT. So just to show that this is Panchkoshi. Here is a typical example how the body, what the third level I said, the microcosmic study. Here is Vinayaka. Vinayaka is the name of Ganesh. Ganesh having on the basis of Shiva. Because Nataraja word used for two gods. Shiva, who is the cosmic dancer, Nataraja, controlling the ethereal breath, and then finishing that breath and again returning back. It is nothing like he is a god of destruction. Sorry, that is wrong English translation. That is a completion of cycle and then restart. Okay? Samapta or Punah Nirmana. That is a Shiva. Shivoham, Shivoham. Shiva means always well-being, well-wisher, Kalyanamaya. Okay? And that form has been taken by Ganesha. After that story, how the head was cut and then it has been linked, and Parvati said, oh, you have to do, you have done a great upper. So we have decodified. That is the whole system to understand our mental and then biological symbolism. Here is an example. First thing, what is the most important thing, the first thing in your life? That is the conception and your birth. And conception is the highest energy human being received from the divine being or biological gift. And that name in Sanskrit is Ark. Okay? And that's why name of the first that Ganesh in motherly form. Here, not he, she, Vayanayaki. Vayanayaki, Rupa, Aprisam Desha. This is my description. So, Arka Vinayaka, okay, born. After that, who will look after? In the lab, बच्चे खिला रहे हैं मां के रूप में गणेश, and that is called Durga Vinayaka. Durga means foot, Durga means making a particular gesture to keep the baby close to your nexus, accessibility, level code. This way, all the I am not going to explain all that, but last will be death. Here, description is that everybody knows that death will come. That is the last, the end of this journey. What type of death you want? You always want death very peaceful. Ananda Rupe. This is the way. And that is called Manikanda Vinayaka. In motherly form, Ganesha is dancing. All your messages to be carried in the infinity of the cosmos. And this way, how 7 round, that is the chakra, and 8 direction, 8 into 7 is equal to 50. 56 stages of your life from conception and birth to the death. And this is represented in the form of Chapalve. We have done each and everything, and then we have plotted them. It's nothing like 1 day, 2 years either. This is something work of many people and many decades work. This is just to say that how it is presented. Now, what a normal person doing this? This is one of the photographs from Kumbh Mela, not this one, that is one. How some mystical aghoris doing this. So just you can see this whole model they are making. ये उपली है, cow dung cakes, then they put the stick, then the fire element, then the prana and beef. This is just like the system they have made, and they are making this. So square, triangle, and then cardinality, they are linked together. So this is the way cosmic design to understand even the 108 to generate that energy to receive power from the Mother Nature or Mother Earth. That is another way to see that how the homology of the body and then cosmos. There is another metaphysical description. Okay, time is short. This is that city is called as this is body, Lord Shiva body. So what we done, very simple example, taking to the topographic type of map. This is based on tourism map program. And then we put a body sketch of Shiva, just taking care where the different sides of the body are defined. The knees, the footprint, the navel base. Navel base is Manikarnika. Navel cord in Manikarnika. The fire element is there. The head element is there. And the legs. And then we have tried to decodify several of the such mystical lithographic maps. And we find that that was another great art to understand the sacrality of Mother Power, Mother Earth and Mother Nature. Now coming to that theoretical and practical exercises, you can see. Here is the Panchabhuta. Fire, earth, air, water, and fire. This is the theoretical. Left-hand side, you see theoretical construction of the Panchabhuta. All this is part of the pilgrimage journey. And they all have been centered. They start from there and finish from there. And that is the Jnanava. If your mind, the wisdom is not open, Marandra is not open, and nothing can be happening. This is the whole idea. Like the same thing. One example I will cite you about the goddesses later on. So this is theoretical, and now you see the practical exact map side, right-hand side. How this journey is performed. Look the similarities. Then other exercise was that whatever temple or shrines they are existing on these routes, we have tried to plot it. And a credit goes to another our friend Daniel from Heidelberg University. He has published based on this whole idea. This is the only idea of Doctor of Science that was published in German, that he got international award, etc. And then he was directly appointed as close friend. He has done 6 years work in Varanasi to understand this. These are the things that we can see that how our ancient sages, they have tried to develop that cultural tradition. So Panchabhuta, theoretical journey, then that is converted into Panchayatras. Rasikotri Yatra, then upper side, the Rasikota 286 kilometers, then Panchkoti 84, then Nagar Pradakshina, Avimukta, and then Antargiriya. This is the way. And this way the Panchabhuta in your body too. Typical example you can see now, 2 parallels example. The inner I have said at the end, here is that. This is a study going on, but unfortunately due to complicated political problem and so many other problems, the study stopped. That was in the Kyoto University Department of Astrophysics. They have tried to understand how this energy transfer from outside to inner. This is a theoretical model. They have studied only 2 days, and then the complicated problem, that's how they study stopped. This I am talking 2003. Okay, but whatever result or theoretical construction we got, we have made like this. If right hand side, lower side, you see this is moving in the same way, just like we have talked about the Ganesha 7 times and 8 direction. Same way, Chapan 56, correct. So this is theoretical, and then side by side you see the practical. Here is a typical example. Upper side map you see that is 1478-79. That called the plan of Imola city. That was done by Leonardo da Vinci. The map which I have studied and found similar. This is just by chance. It is nothing like my research. Thanks to Father Francisco Medrina, who said that whatever you are talking, we have also similar map, but it is not open. This is underground, and he has shown me that in Milano, Ambrosia, Academia Ambrosiana underground, small portion of the city just underground, and there that map, now it is open. And I have studied that was there. Then we find, my goodness, you see the circularity. You see the zigzag, you can turn this, then this zigzag turning of the river, it is just like Ganga. And then you find the 8 cardinal directional, Ashtapada, just like in Kashi. So this is a wonderful thing to see east and west how meet together. Okay, same thing I have compared like this. This was a map 1790, that is 1782. Same these 2 colored, and then this one, this is we have painted originally this, then topographic, compare, and then the same city, Mola. Look at the similarity. No relation. Nothing like you can say that Leonardo visited here, but he has planted similar manner, what we call Kashimanda. How this is. We found simple explanation. These great sages, crossing all the boundaries of space and time, they perceived so many great ideas, the truthness of the nature, and they have tried to predict it in the form of landform. That's why these two similarities. The first one here is left side 1502, that is Leonardo, and now here you find 1775, 78. Another typical example, what I have already mentioned, not this present one, not Ilabai. This was already demolished in 1669. But in 1822, James Princeton, who died only in the age of 41, the man who had deciphered Korosti, is still unparalleled. The man who first time said that Aryan theory in future will become, migration theory will be completely challenged. Is wrong. Okay, this is wrong theory. First time he said. First time the man who has made model of Indian coin and having lotus petal, that James Princeton, who started mint also. We have already Princeton got in Kolkata. The great work what he did, he tried to study the basement of this Michanati, okay, which are demolished in 1660. Back side, you find all these things. He has measured this, and then he has tried to make it all these groups like this. So with a little bit modification, hardly 5% correction, we have made the design more accurate. So sometimes you find that his manuscript not properly set. So we have done like this, and then you find 9 mandalas. 27 into 27 grids. 27 lunar mansions, that is Natatra. So upper terrestrial, and then on the earth, this way the grid. What he said, first time he used the word Cosmo-gram using this temple, what I have already referred. He said that these temples are not only for religious purpose, but these are the deeper messages to understand the cultural connotation of ancient astronomy, to link with the sun and other planetary systems. This was the thing. Later on, we have studied this, but you know that all this happened in 92, this Ram Janmabhoomi business and all that destruction. After that, no proper study. It is finished, but before that, we have already calculated and published a paper based on this astronomical. This is the way. Same diagram. When we put all these geometrical design, you see series of layerings, square, triangles, circularity. What I have referred. This is the way. This is based on James Princeton. And then we came to know that, oh my goodness, and the back portion, these are all the buildings. The others are the open space. This way, now Mandapa, now Graha, now Devya, whole series of 9 links, and center is Shanatra, the Lord of the with his family, all the members. Parvati, Kartik, all the later all outside. Hanuman is also added. These are known as one of the Rudras also. So later on added. This is an example to understand. Okay, let me quickly now pass on because time is running fast. So ancient most description concerning Varanasi, it says that that was related to particular goddesses, not just normal goddesses. You can say that were like Shandi or Yogini. So that was prehistoric goddess concept into that, and that description we find from the Atharvaveda system, and then whole story of Jyotasa, which we studied and tried to relate, that called Hridaya Chakra. So that is just like you can say one triangle, then superimposed triangle. That's why I'm making the hexagram. This is the way. See, the design is this, and what practically it was existing like this. The whole area was just like about forest flat, not dense forest, about INCA. And rishis were living at a particular site, those are energy sites. And that was referred in that one. And the central and control was, that is the highest form of Bhagavati. This was the first description of this whole natural landscape having this type of power, etc. Okay. Now coming to this, some example you can see. So that you have seen left hand side upper portion. Just now I have shown. Then here you have plotted the yoginis. Then we have plotted all the directional deities linked with the goddess phenomena. One unique thing again, credited goes to Jonathan Moore. After all these studies and detail this GPS calculation, the gravity calculation, then electromagnetic wave sites, all calculation, then he come to here is a popular, you can see right hand side top, beautiful things came. As you go from center to out, the sites are scattered. As you come from out to inner, that is close to Rana P, everything going to be close. And this way, first time he tried to put theoretical, you can say prophecy, the self-organized criticality theory of theoretical physics, evolved by Prof back in 1972, has been tested in case of distribution of goddess shrines in Varanasi. Is the way the model is. Okay. So generally we say they are just scattered anywhere, which is not anywhere. Marcia Eliade, 1956, already said a time will come, people will realize that ancient sites are all energy centers where great sages tried to feel it. They put some memorial, and later on, sponsored by Richmond, Jamidar, whosoever, and temple developed. So we thought, oh, anywhere they got the land. The theory is wrong. Now it is in architecture, now it is. Also, credit goes to Indian thought. Here is a Kushmanda, what we call the Durgaji, but you see metaphorical name is Kushmanda, that is just like a big belly. And Kushmanda, you know, Koda, or called pumpkin, yes. So God, pumpkin form of goddess. And pumpkin symbolizes mother's womb. Pumpkin is the main ingredient, religious ingredient offered to the mother god, sun god, that is a Tatma. और उसमें छोटा बच्चा ऑफर करते हैं उसको पेट से चूक कि मैंने अपना को दिया. I have given this offering my own womb. Oh, supreme mother form of sun, give me such a beautiful blessing to have me progeny and birth of son. These are the link line. The name itself, the name itself is giving the whole story of the qualities. Yes. The same thing linked with one more thing here, just to add you, how this whole propaganda happened during colonial period. Ali always say, oh, she's trusty God, always eating data and all this. Could you please show me the text? Could you please show me the, like Kujika Mati Tantra, tantric literature? Nowhere. It is all symbolic. Okay, I am not going into this detail, only one example I can say. This is based on Fields of Capra and Duco, Master, great book. You see Kali having a rosary of this head, all this head. Count this, that is 51. 51 Mundamala. Okay? That is the garden in the Mother Kali head. And we have letters in Devanagari, 51, like this, the basic thing. And we have 51 sound phenomena. This way, Fritz Capra said that Mother Kali is a cosmic mother who was involved for the origin of the cosmos through the sound phenomena. And that's how the number 50. This all we have superimposed in Varanasi and other sites also. So later on I will give one example. Okay, here you see the example of the 3 level we have discussed: macrocosmos, mesocosmos, microcosmos. Here is in landscape term, that is a macro. India level, Jyotirlingas. The lingas of Shiva, light manifested Jyotirlingas. They are 12 in number. And that history goes at least to 8th century BC. In Vanaparva for Mahabharata, that has been fully described, and credit goes to Surendra Bharadwaj, a great man of pilgrimage studies. He is now 92. He is considered a father of pilgrimage study in the United States. He did PhD, and that was published in the same year, postdoctoral thesis, and he was honored, and next year he became full professor. Then he had written nothing. only some review and all that, but he became such a great master that people from different parts of the world, they gone to study under Surendranath. He became like a rishi. And he was the man that he gave that a geographer from Telugu, long back story, born in 67, US and settled there. So that he tried to say that how these 12 lingas going to represent the 12 light phenomena in different parts of India. His book, famous book, Hindu Places of Pilgrimage in India, 23. That has been now here come second level, meso level, earthly level, and that already by 8th century AD, CE, current era, all have been replicated in the landscape. And miniature form of that whole structure and will develop. That yatra will take 2.5 days. Still going on. Lot of people doing. Every year we have counted at least 2 times, so 200 people go. Now comes micro level. So here, if you can perform this India level yatra, that will take 45 to 50 days. There is special train service and you have to go here, there. Here you can Varanasi 2.5 days. That becomes a micro level, one temple having all miniature form, Dwadasheshwar, Ishwara form of Shiva, and one Ulva plate like this. This is a beautiful crystal made, unique, that is the only one piece in whole North India. North India, at least you can say, because we studied it, you never find. That is all it's taking all of it. So this is representation for only 2 hours. You can do the same thing. Now you have to do Kama Strotam, asking excuse ritual, and you can get blessing from Lord Shiva. This is the example of another 3 levels. Okay? So whatever you have seen in the lower side, just now, there is a temple called Panchkroshi temple. There are 312 images. That is all 3-dimensional images, all having inscription there. So you can follow the route and you can see this is also only one such temple in whole North India. South India, we don't know much detail about that. Maybe, but we can say North India. Okay, we are trying to get it inscribed in UNESCO, but anyway, politics there. Now, some other example quickly to pass on. Gaya, which we have studied again from the same frame what I have discussed earlier. So here we have here 3 levels. The micro level, Gaya itself, temple, that is Vishnupada. Then we say Gaya Kshetra, and then we can Gaya Mandala. See the circularity, they have description. This is mostly based on Vayu Purana. That where is the radial point? We find exact radial point is there. It's all measured. And then Vishnupad, this way prepared the map. Then we have converted this to see that whole year, how the sunlight going up and down, how the solstice going up and down. And this way, we come to the conclusion, the symmetry is about 80%. The description is in a way that you think these are only description. We are reading. But the moment you can decodify, then you find mysteries there. And then at the center, close by to Vishnupada is Akshaya button. There are 3 sites in the whole North India called Akshaya, never lost. Impressive. How that is linked to, we have tried to study even the date, that is 700 to 900 years old. This had something special merit that is not part of this description, so just giving you one example. Another example, Chitrakoot, which is something unique in whole India. It is a wonderful example of understanding manifestation of a speciality, sacrality, and landscape transformation. See this. Here is Valmiki Ashram. The right hand upper side VA Valmiki Ashram. The sage is sitting there and describing the dawn of the whole Chitrakuta, where Bharatji met Bharatakuta, met Ramachandra in Ahilya Ashram, then Gautamrishi Ashram. We have plotted this and then tried to see how it is possible that about 20 kilometers area, and the Rishi had described it is so accurate. So they have said, Chanchanani, Didani, something Sanskrit going on. We have measured this, we put our laser beams, and through the laser survey we have done, the result is this. Sitting here, about 20 kilometers distance, 15 to 20, then it said that that is just like Pinda Rupeda. It is like circularity. Now close up, we are transferring overall what he said. This is Hiraniya Garbhe Kshetra. is the golden egg Chitrakuta. So the way it described the reference point, and then we put it dot just to make it exact. This is just a pictorial thing. Now the practical you can see. It says this is a triangle. Here is a basement. Then the result is here. Southern side, left hand side, you see. It says, now popularly we say, if you want to please Lord Rama, first you have to worship Hanuman. Then you have to get blessing from the mother, then only you pay raise to Rama. This we have decodified. It is exactly in the landscape. Hanuman Dhara, Sita Rasoi, then you come, and then ultimately now you reach to Rama Sayya. Ramji said. When we have measured this exact triangulars and central Mukhar Bindu, that is the Kamadgiri, from where you enter inside, and Bharatji and Ramji met together, they started weeping. So that whole story that in this geological formation, why for a small piece that is completely different rock, just like flow, lava flow, suddenly. So that was the interpretation in story, and here you find the geological proof. So in different seasons, the two seasons, so winter and summer, we have tried to see that how the result and sunlight's going on. In the lower side, you'll find the pictorial description, which is the sun, Karam is moving. So we have converted that into pictorial form and then description like this. Now, typical example, let me say only 5 minutes more, and then you have to finish. This is the example of Devis. 51 Devis. The story started from the Tri Devi, then Chatur Devi, then we find this is on Tantric, and then we find that by 7th to 9th century AD, the full description. Okay? The several texts you find that already, but that is I'm going to discuss. Anyway, what we did, that the most common description according to Tripa Yogani Tantra is the known basis, and then Tattva Pramana also taken back. So we have plotted all this. This is not general topographic map. This is a highly sophisticated GPS map. This was under the project. It is not easily possible for a one person or two person to bear the whole cast and go half over like that. Some places we have not reached to that, then using our laser beams, we have measured under Tim Malville direction. Result is here. You see the upper portion, it is Sri Parvata, exact longitude, and that is to Kanyakumari. 9th century before, 9th century already written, so maybe 8th century, early 9th century. Then Hingalaja, that is in Pakistan, and then you say Kamaksha. Kamaksha, here is the vaginal portion. Hingalaja is Brahmarandra. Here is a Choti, here is a Charana. You draw that, here is all that latitude, exact that latitude, exact longitude. Who has made this? Why? How? Which was the technique? Nobody knows. Kim Mal will put a note. There's so many such mystical things. Only you can go and measure and trust me. Just put that. His last paper published in Nature, for most famous journal, he put this note. That was already published there. Now, taking all this, then later on we find a 108 tradition of the goddesses, and Vindhyachal is not mentioned in the first list, but in the second list, but this is a wonderful example. Look here, blue dot triangle, up, apex up, that is farmer Shiva, apex down, red one, that is a mother. So 3 farm, Ashtabhuja, Vindhavasani, and then Kali. And then here is Rameshwara, then Mukteshwara, Banakhandishwara, superimposed like this. And if you can draw like this, half of both at the center, which is not in this hand, I missed that slide, that is the ashram of Anandamaji, exact at the center. That is 20th century. But there was a cave also. And later on, Anandamaji developed as an ashram. Inside not allowed to go, on the upper side you can see. This is, you can compare with yantra, what is called Vindhyachala yantra. There are, 108 yantras, and 3 yantra is a mixture of all that and super. Here is Vindhyachala yantra, that is the core. That is developed form, you can see. Inner portion is represented here, then covering Mirzapur, we have made a wider region. So we are starting from the micro, then meso, and then macro, including measure, put a little bit across, and then we find again the three level meso that start from macro, meso, and micro. This is another example. This is just to give you a simple calculation of the 8 sites and core area, the 3 main temples, and other the 6 main, 3 goddesses and 3 Shiva and 2 other Anandamaya ashram at the core, and the Naga Kupa, that is the starting point of the yatra. And this way we have tried to see that how the symmetry is. Based on all these measurements, up to 4 digits we have measured, and each site has been measured, as I said, about 400 times, and in different seasons, using different type of receptors. Okay. Now, last I am going on quickly. I will finish this Khajuraho, which is most popularly advertised or badly imaged. Oh, that is a sexual erotic scene. Let us go and see like this. That was not our image. Kim said that first you have to clean your mind. You have to think that great mystery of nature is there. First feel like this, and Mother Nature is always this. Then only you can see any sight. This way we have to prepare ourselves. And the story started, let me say, we have heard that some tribal group on the day of Shivaratri, that is the marriage day of Lord Shiva, that is following about later of the March, they go early in the morning, little bit of darkness, half naked with real cobras and scorpions on the peak of the hill, and they do something ritual, and before the sunrise just start, they come down, and there is a cave-like feature, and they go there and they say, now father and mother met. Father is Shiva on the top and mother is in the cave. How to do this? That was the problem. So we decided, I have used my trick, Banarasi trick. So rotten clothes, we put mahua sharab, that on our body, bidi. And this way, we started purchase some drum in a very bad condition. The whole film has been made by Kim Baldwin. And then 5, 6 of us, we started jai ho, jai ho, jai ho, like this. This way, they accepted us. Oh, half, oh, gore, okay, good. And that was a great history. Nowhere, first time in the history of astronomy. The moment we have reached 216 meter up, 264 meter up, we find little bit cave type feature. Dantala, the name of this hill is Dantala. Dantala means cavity. Okay, your teeth. Okay, there is a cavity. And there is a beautiful stone there. It is spherical. It is something like shining crystal type of round shape, small piece, only 3-4 inches. The moment little bit sunlight starts, reflection starts, vibration starts from there. And we have put our laser beams points, all these different places, and then we find the great mystery. The moment sunrise full, sunlight touches that, and you see the all lines. All that goes to 14 temples. Nowhere else before that already measured. Please don't speak. I am going to close. I am going to please stop speaking. Okay, so this way that when I plotted, we come to the conclusion that the story started. It started from 8th century, just coming up to 13th century. And with the astronomical measurement of these happenings, they have corrected even date of construction little bit. So astronomically, here are the dates, and that all link. Here are the 5 main measurements: one on Holi and the rest on all Shivaratri. And this way, that tradition accepted by tribals and they celebrate this way. Okay, just close by, you can just have a glimpse of that. It's in Khajuraho, Vishwanath temple. You see the structure. Kandaria, which is most famous for all this design. This is only one piece. Thousands of Taj Mahal, no way to be compared with this only one. Let me say, my dear, and scholars have written that. Don't go only aesthetics, also go the deeper sense of scientific, astronomical, all this calculation, who has done, we don't know. Another typical example, you see, Brihadeshwar, the only piece in the whole world without basement. It is nothing like any basement, and it's nothing. Temple all granite, and about 150 kilometers area of radius, no granite available. And the top of this, here you can see, 80 tons of granite round shape. How this has been balanced, still studies going on. Scientists now is studying that how it happened to this. That is the great mystery of another sacred geometry, just to say at the end. And now the last piece I am showing you, that our own university, that is Banaras University, also based on that. But now demons administration, राक्षस लोग इसे बिगाड़ रहे हैं. Sorry to say, but original plan is like this: Panchabhuta, then 5 half circle like this. 14 bhuvan, so 14 ethereal breath system, 7 up, 7 down, Kundalini chakra. This way, all the radial roots. This was made, and at the center of that Navi, axis mundi, Vishwanath temple. That was the frame of Vishwanath temple, even in modern terms. And UNESCO people is always used to say, I am working also for UNESCO, why not proposal is coming? And I say, oh, it is Mother Manohar. Never care for anything. Maybe hell or heaven. This way it has never gone to get it inscribed in UNESCO. Okay, let me now finish with this say. Swami Vivekananda, what in his 5th lecture, he cited for the young generation. Arise, awake, and stop not till the goal is reached. And goal is reached, it means you have to know your culture, awaken your culture, practice your culture, and give the world the new insight of understanding through the message of Sanatana. That is Hindu way of life. That is through space, asthana, time, call, and implicit belief, astha, we can understand. This is the only one way to understand what we call past, rooted past, continuity and practice in present, and vision and hope in the future. And this is the way, one of the small service to understand. Thank you very much.
कि ये जो अलग अलग जो है सेक्रेट प्लेसेस का जियोमेट्रिक या माइक्रोकॉस्मिक मैक्रोकॉस्मिक जो मैप्स के हिसाब से जो देखा गया है, इसमें सर क्या हम कोई जनरलाइजेशन, कोई एग्जैक्ट जनरलाइजेशन, स्वीपिंग नहीं, मतलब ऐसा जनरलाइजेशन जो होल्ड करे, ऐसा कोई जनरलाइजेशन 2-3 पॉइंट का ऐसा देख पाते हैं क्या?
लेकिन ऋग्वेद के 3rd मंडल के 11वें सूत्र से ही शुरू हो जाता है, और फिर उपनिषदों में उसको महारूप में वर्णन है. सबसे पहले यदि इलियाडे को, ग्रेटेस्ट राइटर ऑन हिंदू सिंबलिज्म, जिनको 11 वॉल्यूम में इंसाइक्लोपीडिया के एडिटर थे, वो करीब 10 साल हिमालय में रहे हैं. ये मैं भूमिका इसलिए बता रहा हूँ कि छोटे स्कॉलर का स्टेटमेंट नहीं है. 1956 में फ्रेंच में हुआ, 1959 में इंग्लिश में सारे वर्ल्ड में आया. तो उनका कहना है कि वो कई भाषा भी थे, 30 भाषाओं पर कमांड था उसमें. उसको माना जाता था इस पर किसी शक्ति का है, अदरवाइज पॉसिबल नहीं. उनका ये कथन है कि पहली बार इतिहास में ये बताया गया कि शक्ति कोई भी एनर्जी होगी वो महारूप ही होगी, और शक्ति कोई भी विजुअल देखी जाएगी तो सूर्य से ही देखी जाएगी. तो सूर्य का नाम है गायत्री, वहीं से गायत्री मंत्र चलता है, 3rd मंडल के 11वें जो मंत्र है उसका. तो यह जो बात है, इसको पूरे लैंडस्केप में ढाला गया. जितने भी मैंने अभी आपको बात बताई है, उसका जड़ का एक कंक्लूजन ये होता है कि सूर्य के उदय से, सूर्य के लाइट से, सूर्य के सर्किल से सभी टेम्पल को जोड़ा गया और उनके विभिन्न गतियों की व्याख्या की गई. एक जनरलाइजेशन तो ये बहुत काम. दूसरी जनरलाइजेशन ये है कि ये कहना कि कहीं भी ये बन गया है, ऐसा नहीं है, क्योंकि जो ग्रेविटी इलेक्ट्रोमैग्नेटिक वेव्स की एनालिसिस हुई, उससे पाया गया कि उस परिक्षेत्र में, मींस दैट टेरिटोरियल कॉन्टेक्स्ट में, जो मेन टेम्पल जो रहा है, जिसे पैट्रन डीटी कहते हैं इंग्लिश में, वो सभी उस मैग्नेटिक सिद्धांत पर ही आधारित. हम लोगों ने 8 शहरों का यहाँ पर, दक्षिण में उनका खुद ही काम है, हम्पी और विजयनगर. यहाँ हम लोग किया ना, पूरी हम लोग की किताब कैम्ब्रिज के सीरीज में छपी हुई है. तो उसमें ये जनरलाइजेशन हम लोग पाए कि जिसको ये इस रूप में हम कह सकते हैं. तो ये 2 जनरलाइजेशन इसमें क्लियर है. तीसरी जनरलाइजेशन सीधे तो नहीं कह सकते, लेकिन ये परंपरा टूटी नहीं. हुआ ये कि ये जुड़ गया विभिन्न तरह के धार्मिक क्रियाकलापों से, और मध्यकाल में जब आक्रमण हुए, चीजें भीतर इंटर की, तो वो सुपरस्टिशन से मिलकर खिचड़ी पक गई. आज हम सूर्य पूजा का मतलब जो हो गया, आप छठी मैया से फिल्मी गाना, छठी बाबा चले ले आए एरिया, पूरा के पूरा चौपट कर दिया. छठी मैया चले लिया एरिया, जो भोजपुरी हमारा सॉन्ग था, छठी बाबा बन गए. हमारे रामेश्वर जी भी उसमें जोड़ देते हैं, कविता इनकी मैंने पढ़ी, ये भी मॉडर्न जोड़, तो इससे अर्थ बिगड़ गए क्योंकि आपने मॉडर्निटी एक्सेप्ट। लेकिन जब भी वो पीछे आप जाएंगे तो उसमें पाएंगे, तो हम जनरलाइज तो सीधे नहीं लेकिन उसके करीब तो है कि कुल के बावजूद भी उसमें वो तत्व मौजूद है। जैसे उसमें फलों को ले लीजिए, तो उन फलों का जो प्राइमरी लेवल पर अथर्ववेद में ऋषियों के आश्रम की बात है, वही फिर लगेंगे चर्च में। तो माँ की शक्ति को प्रकृति के उस माध्यम से जोड़ने की अभी आप यहाँ माने या ना माने, इसी तरह का व्रत और छठ रिचुअलिस्टिक नहीं, कॉस्मोलॉजिकल फ्रेम में ऑलरेडी अमेरिका में शुरू हो, कोरिया में हो रहा है, इसीलिए मैं बुलाया गया। मैं पंडित बोल के गया, मैं पंडित नहीं हूँ, लेकिन सब करता हूँ कर्मकांड बिना पीछे का, क्योंकि भाई क्या कहूँ देंगे, बच्चा बच्चा देंगे अलग से दक्षिणा नहीं है। लेकिन कोरिया में भी शुरू कर दिया, जापान ने शुरू, सबसे विचित्र बात है कि चीन में शुरू किया है, और ये कह रहे हैं वहां की स्कॉलर इंडिया से जुड़ा हुआ, लेकिन हम लोग नहीं मानेंगे ना, हम लोग तो गोरी चमड़ी वाले हैं। माफ कीजिएगा, मेरे शब्दों पर मत जाइएगा, मेरे दर्द को फील कीजिएगा, मुझे क्षमा। तो ये तीन बातें, दो तो सीधे जनरलाइजेशन, तीसरा ये है। अब आगे कुछ और अध्ययन नहीं होगा, किसी ने नहीं किया, क्योंकि ये पागलपना है, ऐसा रिसर्च जो है पागलपना है, आसान नहीं है। विंध्याचल के झाड़ियों में खोज रहे कि विनायकी का स्तर नहीं होगा तो गणेश माँ कैसे बोले, तो पूरा लगा एक कथा कहा, वहां आदमी शराब पी के गिरा था, आप माई के मिलवा गणेश के माई के, हम लोग का कहे ना मिले, 500 रुपये तो गाड़ी पिलाओ, करेंगे रिसर्च, आप पिलाया, हम लोग को गाली गुप्ता दिया, तो ठंडाया थोड़ा सा, तो कहा यहाँ है लेकिन जाओगे कैसे, तो कांटा है, हम लोग जाएंगे, कांटा गड़ा, कुछ हुआ, जाके देखा तो अद्भुत रूप था, गणेश का टुकड़ा वो टूटा हुआ पड़ा है, और इस तरह से फिर प्लॉट किया, पता चला तो ओरिजिनल साइट यही है जो मुस्लिम काल में लॉस हो चुका है। तो ये कठिनाइयां इसलिए यह परंपरा आगे बहुत, अब मैं नहीं जानता हूँ, मैं अब तो और पर हूँ, आप सभी को नमस्कार, मैं चला जाऊंगा कब पता नहीं है, रामेश्वर जी कुछ करेंगे।
सर मैं जानना चाहती हूँ कि ये जो शिव का मंदिर है, जैसे ऊपर में केदारनाथ से लेकर नीचे हम रामेश्वरम तक एक ही लाइन पे वो है, इसका क्या तथ्य है?
केवल 5 है, पंच तत्व के जो है 5 है, और एग्जैक्ट में थोड़ा सा डिफरेंस है, 5 मीटर जो कहते हैं कि है, हम लोगों ने अभी डिटेल नहीं किया, थोड़ा सा वर्क करके रुक गया क्योंकि तो अलाउ नहीं हुआ डिफरेंस से, 5 मीटर का डिफरेंस है। लेकिन यह भी एक बड़ा अद्भुत है कि पांचों तत्व को केदारनाथ से रामेश्वर के बीच में 5 मंदिर शिव के जो पंचभूत कहते हैं, एक लाइन नहीं, एक एग्जैक्ट उसी लाइन, केवल 5 मीटर का अंतर। तो अब इसका मिस्ट्री तो नहीं जानते, लेकिन इलियाडे के थियरी को आप माने तो ये मानेंगे कि प्राचीन काल में ये ऋषि से नहीं थे। जैसे मेरे गुरुजी मालवीय कहते हैं ना, they were not the riches, oh they were greatest scientists of that period. You people call that riches, I call the greatest scientist of the period. तो किए क्या क्या करते थे, उन्होंने अपने कॉन्शसनेस को इतना सुपर कॉन्शियस में ढाल दिया कि प्रकृति शक्ति से अपने को जोड़ दिया, और फिर उन स्थानों पर जहां जिस रूप में जोड़ा उसकी स्थापना कर दी। तो पंच तत्व के लिए 5 को जोड़ा, वो वहां स्काई जो है वहां ऊपर से शुरू होता है केदारनाथ से, और नीचे को छोड़ दिया। उसी में जब स्थापना हुई, कालांतर में राजाओं ने या इस तरह के लोगों ने वहां मंदिर बनवा दिए। अब कुछ बातें उभर के आई हैं तो पता चला है अरे ऐसा है